Hello, Upper One. I hope you are all well. First of all, I'd like to say a very big well done for all the lovely work that you completed last week. Your title pages on the Estuary were brilliant. I was blown away by some of your artwork. And also some of the questions that you thought of, I thought were superb. Really sensible questions, and certainly it's given me lots to think about going forward as I plan our topic. Hopefully, I will start to answer some of your questions today in this lesson. And we're going to start off, first of all, thinking about what an estuary actually is. What is an estuary? Now, the picture on the right there is actually of the estuary, and I've said there talk with your partner, but obviously it's very unlikely that you are sat with someone. So if there is someone in the room, you could ask them to have a discussion with you. Or if you're sat by yourself working, just have a moment to think about what an estuary could be. Think about what you can see over here. Think about what you can see here and where it's going. What do you think an estuary might be? Okay, I will tell you in a minute, so don't panic, but just have a think about what it could be. Okay, so I've included lots of pictures of estuaries here because estuaries are actually found all over the world, and I may ask you later on to research some other famous estuaries. But what you need to know is that we all understand that a river will travel to meet the sea. And when that river reaches the sea, it mixes with the seawater. So you have the fresh water of the river mixing with the seawater. And this makes a salty, what we call brackish water. And this is part of your estuary. And the salt in the seawater makes the tiny particles of mud carried in the river clump together, and then they settle in thick layers. If the rivers are flowing more slowly, they may form these muddy estuaries when they join the sea. And when the tide, so the sea level, rises, that flow of the seawater stops the river water moving, and the mud settles to form broad areas of land called mudflats. So it's really important to understand that an estuary is an area of water or a body of water that is a mix of fresh water and salty water. And that's really important for some of the wildlife that live on estuaries, and we'll find out more about that in our other lessons. So you can see in the pictures here that you have got the rivers coming down and forming estuaries here and here that then go into the sea. Okay, and those estuaries will be a mix of salty water and fresh water. If we're thinking about the estuary, I've got a few facts for you because some of you thought of some really good questions about the estuary, and you wanted to know where the estuary is, where you find it. So the estuary is about 8 miles long, okay, and there are 2 rivers that flow into the estuary, and one of those rivers is the River Exe, and I'm sure you've all heard of the River Exe before. So you can see on my map here that we have got Exeter, okay, and you can see the river flowing through, and there's another river coming down that side there, and those rivers join together to form this estuary, okay, and the estuary is near Exmouth, and I know some of you live near or in Exmouth, and you might spot other key places on there too, Dawlish, Budleigh, Exminster. So I'm fully aware that some of you may live very close to the estuary, and you already may have some excellent knowledge to share with us. So it's just a few facts for you there about the estuary. And what I'd like you to do in today's lesson is to write a definition of an estuary. So I want you to pause the video now and get yourself your geography book and a pen or pencil, or if you're working on a piece of paper, that's fine. And I would like you to put today's date and the title. So just pause the video and do that now for me. Okay, so hopefully you've got the date and the title. I would now like you to write down a short definition of an estuary. And I'm only looking for a couple of sentences, just a definition. Now, I'm hoping that you may have remembered what I told you at the beginning of this lesson about what an estuary is. So I'm hoping that some of you may be able to write down in your own words what an estuary is. If you can't remember, that's fine. You might need to pause the video and go back and listen again to what I said an estuary is. Or some of you might want to look in a book and find out some more information about an estuary or do some research online. If you're still really struggling, then you can have a look at my definition that I've included on the next page. But if you think you could have a go and write down your definition, please pause the video now and write that down. Okay, this is my definition. So for those of you that have already completed the work, you might want to compare your definition against mine, or for those of you that weren't sure, you could use mine to help you. I'd rather you didn't just copy it. I'd rather you try and put it into your own words. But hopefully your definition would be along these lines. An estuary is a body of water found where a river slows and widens to flow into the sea. The incoming salt water from the sea mixes with outgoing fresh water from the river. This creates brackish water, which is really important for wildlife. So that brackish water, what I've talked about there, is the mix of fresh water and the salt water. So that's what we call brackish water. So you can see there that I haven't included loads and loads of information. I've just summarised what I found out about estuaries into a couple of sentences to complete my definition. Now, if you want to, you could include some more information about estuaries if you found out some other information, or you may like to include a picture like I've done. So I've just found this one on the internet. You could do the same, or if you like drawing, you could create this by hand. And I've just drawn a picture to show that I've got my fresh water coming in from my river, and this is my ocean here, which is going to be my salty water, and the two mixed together will give my brackish water. So if you wanted to, under your definition, depending on how much time you've spent so far on this lesson, you could include a little diagram under your definition to show me what an estuary looks like and how you have the fresh water mixing with the salt water. And that is all that I would like you to do for today's lesson. However, some of you may like to do an optional extension task. So this is for those of you that would like to do something extra because maybe you've got some spare time. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. Or if you don't want to and you feel you've done enough geography today, again, that is absolutely fine. You've done the main task. But for some of you, you may want to try something else. And I would like you to research famous estuaries from around the world. Do you know of any other estuaries? Perhaps you would like to find out about other estuaries, and what you could do is create a document either on the computer or in your book showing other estuaries that you have researched. I'd like to know where they are located, so are they all in England or have you researched other estuaries from other countries? Are there any particular wildlife that you can see there? Or have you found out any other special features about those estuaries? Now remember again, this is an optional task. I know some of you would have finished the beginning part of the lesson quite quickly, so you may be looking for something else to do. But the main thing that I would like you to have done this lesson is to complete your definition of an estuary. Next week, we're going to be learning about how estuaries are formed, and there will be a little bit more information with that lesson. If you want to, you can get a head start and start finding out, but don't worry otherwise, all will become clear next week. If you've finished your work, then please upload a picture of your work to me so I can just have a look and check those definitions. And if you have any questions, please make sure you ask me. Thank you guys. I look forward to seeing your work and I will speak to you next week. Bye.